I think social media is something that is a two-edged sword. There's parts of social media that are amazing and connect us and keep relationships alive. And there are parts of social media that are quite destructive. And we've seen in research that, especially with adolescents, if we take social media away for two weeks, there's a real shift in terms of their self-esteem. Because if I'm always living up to somebody else's ideal, or I'm losing contact with myself. I think everything in life is about balance and about boundaries. So if you are using social media not to feel or not to be connected with what's really going on, then it becomes a problem, right? If you are using social media in a way that's creative and developing things, then that's positive. Mm-hmm. But if it becomes a way of disconnecting from yourself, then I would say maybe have a look and see what are you not wanting to feel or deal with.
Also with regards to teenage mental health and children mental health, there's a lot of evidence about the influence of social media on their well-being. And I am very, very skeptical about the use of social media and the excessive use of social media, not even social media, but any media on emotional well-being. Now, why is that? Because social media companies favor sharing of content, and they often favor sharing of content that is emotionally triggering, particularly with regards to outrage. So my suspicion is, and there's a lot of evidence for that, that social media has triggered a degree of perhaps irritation and irritability in the public domain. I think what people need to know about social media is social media does influence our emotional well-being, and it does influence our emotions. So that doesn't mean we shouldn't use them, but I think we should use social media in a very skillful way. And I don't think there's a lot of teaching out there of how to do this. And from my conversations with my friends, I don't personally use any social media myself. It is that perhaps we limit the amount of people that we're in touch with. We really use our social media interactions for positive interactions and for skillful interactions, rather than perhaps disputing contentious issues. I would always say, if you can't end a text or some sort of written comment with a smiley or with a positive emoji, then don't send it. Because it will only sort of enhance negative emotions in people. So there's lots and lots of ways. If there's conflict that you have with somebody, just use the phone. Pick up the phone and phone them rather than sending them some sort of message. I think, text messages, short messages are, if they're not positive, they can be so toxic because they can be read over and over again. They can be interpreted in the wrong context. They might have just been thrown away comments, but they can go a long way to enhance negative emotion in other people. So I think it's about the skillful use of these media.
Social media, the use of screens, it's become so much more a part of all of our lives. And I think whether we're parents or adults or children, we're all trying to work out what is the right way to deal with this. And I think more recently, there's been a lot of data recently coming out. There's been a recent book by Jonathan Haidt, The Anxious Generation, if you're interested in reading it, which brings together a lot of this data and demonstrates that there have been some real harms since about 2010, where this sort of universal use of screens in our pockets really started. So I think as mental health professionals, as psychiatrists, we should be interested in this. And, part of seeing a psychiatrist might be thinking about, is this one factor that is contributing to the problems I'm experiencing or my children are experiencing? Obviously, we don't want to be too definitive. People are different. Everyone needs their phone. I have a phone. We all have phones. But maybe one part of what we can think about with you is, what's a healthy use of these kind of things? Is social media, in fact, making you less happy? I mean, I know I've had patients who've come and said, I'm posting all this stuff about myself on social media about how wonderful my life is, but actually the opposite is true inside. And that distance between what I'm publicly putting out there and how I'm feeling inside is actually one of the things that's causing me distress. So I suppose it's an example of the kind of thing that you might not realise that you could talk to a psychiatrist about, and we could think about, what would be the most healthy way for you to flourish.